For the past month, I've been working on a new TTRPG adventure setting called Graccoland, a fairy tale inspired theme park where some of the staff aren't exactly what they seem. In this video, I'll show you some of the process behind creating a map of the theme park. So, tickets please, and enjoy the ride. Hello everyone! It has been particularly sweltering here at the new Penflower Inc. HQ, so I've had to spread out my creative work across several mornings. It's the only part of the day when it's still cool enough to draw without my arms sticking to the page. This is why the video has taken a bit longer to make, and also why the footage you're seeing has skipped straight to the inking phase. Sadly, the penciling stage required too much paper adjusting and shuffling around for the footage to be usable. I've written about this setting in my most recent newsletters, but in a nutshell, Graccoland is inspired by Hamish Steele's Dead End, and even more so by the Dutch fairy tale theme park, Efteling. While I was writing Stravagante and Gigante, I thought of ways for it to work for low or urban fantasy as well as high and epic. The concept of magical fairy tale creatures living or even working at a modern day theme park like Efteling felt like the perfect scenario. The players can either be regular humans discovering the park's magical secrets for the first time, they could be already in the know, or they could be magical beings themselves who must keep up their disguise. Rides at Graccoland include the Goat Race, the Lily Pad Leaper, Mount Gnome, the Frog Palace, and the Towering Treehouse. I considered making this an isometric map, but in the end I decided to go for a more stylized book illustration inspired look. Because the mascot of the park is a frog king, I wanted Graccoland to be shaped like a giant lily pad. The network of canals that park guests can travel along in duck-shaped boats are meant to resemble streams and rivers flowing through a forest. Drawing all the little trees and paths made it feel like I was making a kind of traditional fantasy world map, which was very fun. I decided to use a 005 fine point micron pen instead of doing my usual thicker lines, because I knew that there would be lots of tiny little fiddly bits that would get swallowed up if the lines were too chunky. However, as you can hopefully see from this footage, all the shapes I'm drawing here are actually very simple. Little cloud shapes for the trees, short lines for the grass, and so on. Repeating them and using them to fill up the space is what actually makes the map look more complex and detailed. The last step was adding color. Now, this used to be one of my least favourite jobs to do until I quite belatedly discovered where the paint bucket tool was on my ancient version of Photoshop. I installed it from a CD-ROM, that's how old it is. This just goes to show that there are always new things to learn. I've had a few comments on previous videos expressing astonishment that I do everything on one layer. To be fair, I don't always do that, but I just appreciate that adding colour this way feels like enjoying a brand new colouring book. The map needed to be vibrant and bright to fit the fairy tale feel. To make sure there would be a nice contrast between the wooded areas, the canals, and all the rides, I used shades of pink, yellow, and lavender for the lower part of the map to suggest fields of flowers instead of just more green grass. For similar reasons, I decided to give the towering treehouse an autumnal colour palette. As you'll see in a bit, I later used the same palette on the trees at the base of this ride. Here you can see I'm colouring in the last remaining rides and buildings. The mushroom houses are supposed to represent things like info points and gift shops, with the little red cap ones being the toilets. I later went back to increase the contrast on the canals by making the water darker on the lower half of the map, so that all the different sections should still be distinguishable for colourblind readers. And here is the finished map of Graccoland. I am really pleased with how it turned out, especially because it was the hardest part of the setting to wrap my head around design-wise. The end result, I think, is nice to look at, it's functional, and it has some authenticity to it. It should hopefully feel right at home in an official Graccoland flyer. That's all for now. I'll hopefully be able to get this setting completed and published before the end of the month, so long as this dreaded heatwave moves on soon. My newsletter, the Penflower Post, will be moving over to my website, which will be updating in the near future, but in the meantime you can still sign up to it for updates via my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.